Today we're going to cover Mount Moosilauke in the White Mountains. It's number 10 on the 48 4,000 footers list here in New Hampshire. It's around 4,800 feet. We're going to hit 3 additional peaks that are part of the Trail Right 72 list. One is Mount Jim, the other is South Peak, and the other is West Moosilauke. We're going to do a loop up the Mount Jim trail and then come down the Carriage trail to the Snapper Trail and then back to the Ravine Lodge, which is where we're hiking to right now. It's going to be about 10.5 miles. We're going to try and do a soda activation on the top of Mount Moosilauke. We'll see how that works. Winds are supposed to be around 20 to 30 miles an hour today with gusts up to 50. So we'll see how the antenna holds up under those conditions. It's a beautiful day. Not supposed to rain until late this afternoon. Getting an early start, so I should be off the mountain well ahead of that. 35 degrees. Be bold, start cold, right? The monorail is starting to disintegrate some. I think with the warm temperatures it's really softened up, and this trail that I'm on up to Mount Jim doesn't get as much traffic as others like the Carriage Trail or Gorge Brook that might be a little more consolidated and easier to walk on. Probably should have brought my snowshoes today, even though there's no fresh snow. As the ground softens up, as the snow softens up, spikes don't really do it, and you end up doing a lot of post holing, whereas if you had snowshoes that wouldn't be the case. So lesson learned, I guess, this time of the year. Back to snowshoes. One thing I'm seeing is a lot of tree fall and windfall, branches and trees, storm damage. One of those weird phenomena where you're walking on the trail, but you can actually hear the water flowing underneath you, waiting to grab you. Kind of eerie. There's my next stop, and there's my final destination up there in the Alpine Zone. Fun, fun. So I lucked out. Beaver Brook Trail seems to get a lot more traffic, so much firmer snow than what I was on the Ridge Trail. The problem with bringing a long aerial pole strapped to your backpack on a winter hike in the White Mountains is that the snow's so deep that the trees are like at chest height. I'm constantly getting hung up as I go down along this ridge line by these branches. I've already lost the cap to my aerial, so oh well. Anyways. Lesson learned. Another one. Some of the beautiful features you get to see. I have yet to figure out how I'm going to get around this, but last year I had to abandon an attempt at the summit about maybe a tenth of a mile, maybe 300-400 feet vertical from the summit. Was in beginning of March, whiteout conditions, and I lost the trail for a little bit, and it took me a while to find it. And I decided at that point that it was better to come back the way I'd come up, rather than try and get to the summit and continue with my objective. So this time I'm hoping to make it. Looks like I might. To the summit. It's quite a spectacular view from up here. I can see Lake Moosilauke, Washington, Killington, Jay Peak, Mount Mansfield. It's really amazing. Going down the Carriage Trail. So this is a ski trail. And it was used all the way back in the early 1900s by Dartmouth. They would have races down this. It's the old Carriage Road. Still a great ski run, and I look forward to doing that at some point in the near future. Maybe next year. Today I ended up achieving 3 of my 5 objectives. I decided to not climb Mount Blue, which is on the Trail Right 72 list, just because I didn't have my snowshoes and it required a bushwhack through the trees to get to the summit. And while I would enjoy that in the summertime, not so much without my snowshoes today. The other objective that I did not pursue was to try and do a soda activation, Summits on the Air activation on Mount Moosilauke. Would have been a 10-point peak, which would have been great, but the wind was just blowing so high up there that it would have been very difficult to keep my antenna up and functioning. Plus, it just made it very hard to hear because it just blows so hard up there. So I decided to pass on that. But I did achieve my climb of Moosilauke, which is what I really set out to do, as well as South Peak, South Moosilauke, and Mount Jim. And I have basically taken several different trails that I did not take last time I attempted Moosilauke last year. Last year I took the Gorge Brook trail. This year I took the Ridge Trail, Beaver Brook, over the summit, and then down the Carriage Road to the Snapper Trail, and then over to Ravine Lodge and back to the car. So a little bit different route, got to see a little different terrain. It's a beautiful place. I've got to come back here. I should have brought my skis because the snow actually is pretty good for skiing right now down the Carriage Road. So, oh well, I'll have to remember that.